Tanya, on page 92 in the Chayenu, is continuing chapter 31, a very important chapter because we're ending the way. I'm trying to think how we got there. So this is really if you had to make it into a few chapters into one, chapter 29 to 31 is one chapter. It's one segment. Why? Because we're talking about the problem of Timtum Halev. Timtum Halev means the mind understands about God, but the heart doesn't feel it. So the prescription was hard to break the ego, to have a hard conversation with the ego, because we're talking about a very pious person who learns and understands, yet the heart is numb. So we're trying to thaw, we're trying to crack the heart open. And the way we were dealing with it was pretty harsh. However, in chapter 31, he says, there could be a side effect. It's a prescription. What's the prescription? Hard conversation, right? Prescription is a hard conversation. But it can get down on yourself. Maybe you'll get depressed. So he differentiates in chapter 31, yesterday started the difference of atzvos, what we call in Hebrew depression, and mirirus, which means contriteness or bitterness. What's the difference of mirirus? Is contriteness a word? Contriteness? Yeah. Contrite. Okay. Or depression. Aren't they both brokenness? What's the difference? And the difference was depression doesn't breed action. It kind of just stays in the broken state. But mirirus, we're talking about in these chapters to break the ego, the smugness of your pious ego, so to speak, is by telling you're not so pious, you're not so tzaddik. That will lead to a contriteness. Then the contriteness will spur to action and to joy, as we said yesterday. Why? Remember I said.
So, Rabbi, by the way, the problem in the sound is in your microphone volume when you get a chance. Not
sure.
Today, but
no, do it right now. Let's figure it out.
It just saturates. But whatever.
Audio settings.
It's all about microphone volume. In other words, your voice is going into the microphone and it's going in at a higher volume. Are you still having a problem, Alan? Because I am, but
Mother, Alan.
I'm not.
Today
I'm fine.
Today you're okay.
I'm fine.
Okay. Never mind then.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Okay. I don't know.
No, that's fine. It's not that bad. Okay.
Okay. So this is the idea. Let me borrow this for a moment to see from yesterday, because this is a very important yesterday is tricky. Did I miss yesterday? I wasn't here. No, there was nothing. Right. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. I just read it. Yeah. It's tricky. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So that's the basic idea. I think that's the main thing is he's giving you a understanding of a possible side effect could be depression, but it doesn't have to be. You can make the contriteness lead to actual joy of energy to go fix it, to go redouble your efforts to stay connected to God. And he says, continues today on page 92, that after we said yesterday that the contriteness of one's shortcomings and sins even, he will then arrive at a true joy as follows. In order to comfort his heart in double measure, let him, in the wake of the above words of truth, tell himself the following, right? Despite that he's having a hard conversation about his lowly spiritual state. In chapter 29, we talked about how the inherent klipas noga, the inherent earthy animal, earthy, and the word is animalness of the animal soul. And then chapter 30, we said, even remember, you actually have some sins under your belt, you so-called pious, Benini.
Right.
So he says, but despite that realization of your earthy animal, tendencies and your slip-ups, even small slip-ups, let him say to his heart as follows, and I quote, "Indeed, without a doubt, I am far removed, utterly remote from God, and am despicable, contemptible, and so on. But all, as we said earlier, you can say like, my animal soul does selfish and sometimes sinful things. But all this is true only of me." Who's me? The conscious me, my body and animating soul within it. Yet within me, meaning deeper, not I don't know if it's called subconscious, but a deeper element of me, there's a veritable part of God, which is present even the most worthless of my fellows. Bad translation, we said, let's see the Steinsaltz, we didn't like that translation. And let's see the way they do in the Steinsaltz. It says here, even the most unworthy, worthless, a little harsh. Even the people who are, very low, bad behavior, so unworthy, what we call a low life. I don't know if that's exactly, but even, so to speak, the 1920s era Jewish, thug mafioso. You might say he's a mafioso, a mobster. You might consider him of low stature. But even in such a person, there's a spark of God. There's a part of God. So even from no better, in chapter 30, we say about looking at other people, even from no better than he, 1920s era Jewish mobster, they're rough, uncouth people. I still have this part of God within me, just like him, namely the divine soul and the spark of godliness itself, clothed in it, animating it. So I have God's spark inside of me. It is only that when the body and animating soul are in such a lowly state, the divine soul is in exile. It is only so the divine soul is in exile. If so, then, on the contrary, the further I am removed from God, and the more despicable and contemptible, the deeper in exile is my soul, and all the more is it to be pitied. So I shouldn't have a sense of futility or depression. I should have I should have compassion from the godly spark inside of me. So let's just back up. We're talking. What's the feelings going on here? Contriteness over low of your, of the body's low state. And Alan will get to sublimating the body in chapter 35. Don't worry. That's the whole time is a build up to there in many ways. But now we're talking in a very binary way. The body is earthy, selfish, and the godly spark is lofty and all that. So you have sadness about the body's lowliness and the animal soul's lowliness, but then comes a joy. What's the joy? It's saying that that's not all I am, though. I have a part of God inside of me.
Wow.
If I have a part of God inside of me, oh, now that's pretty good. That makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, well, not happy yet. We're going to get to happiness. So you then think that I should have compassion. So it comes out, I'm not all bad. I also have a godly soul, although it's a little more submerged. I reach for the hamburger before I reach for the book, for the Torah scroll. So it's a little more submerged. Therefore, I have compassion on it. It is only that the divine soul is in exile. If so, then on the contrary, the further I am removed from God, the more despicable and contemptible, the deeper in exile is my divine soul. And all the more is me pitied. I mean, the more the body and the grobkeit, the coarseness of the body is my consciousness, that means the divine soul is even more submerged. Therefore, I will make it my entire aim and desire to extricate it from this exile and to return her to her father's house, the princess, we call the soul the princess, to restore her to its source and the soul, her original state as in her youth, i.e., meaning, as it was before being clothed in my body, before it was clothed in the body, when it was completely absorbed in God's light and united with him. So therefore, he's getting to a plan. The Beinoni who's contrite of the coarseness of the body and the sinfulness of the body at times. Now too will it likewise be absorbed and united with him once again. When I concentrate all my aspirations on the Torah and the mitzvahs, in an effort to clothe therein all of the soul's 10 faculties, as explained in chapter 4, we said the makeup of the soul is 10 faculties, right? Mm-hmm. What are the 10 faculties divided into 2? Seichel and midos, consciousness and emotions. That's the basic makeup of any soul. Perception and emotional reactions to that perception. That's we actually, turns out we have 3 souls. Tanya speaks of 2. We have a third.
Which was?
The nefesh hasichlis, the intellectual soul. We'll get to that another time, or not, or next year. But the point is, you have a soul that has 10 faculties, and the mitzvahs we spoke about. The mitzvahs are basically pathways or garments to express the 10 faculties of the divine soul and connect them to God. They're connection pathways of the parts of the soul or the attributes of the soul, and the mitzvahs are expressions that reconnect them to God, especially in fulfilling the mitzvah of prayer by crying out to God because of the distress of its exile in my loathsome body. So prayer is a mitzvah, And it's also it's something that, what do you call it? In its nature, it's about redemption. You're basically you're expressing your godly soul. You're giving voice to the godly soul, so that he releases it, and you're asking God, help my godly soul be released from captivity and bind it to you, to God Himself. Right. This service of God in general. So all the mitzvahs essentially are really restorative acts. They restore the divine soul to feel connection to God. That is why in the Mishnah we find this phrase, it says in the Mishnah, 1 hour of teshuvah with good deeds is better than all the life of the world to come. Wow. So we take that phrase for granted because we said it 100 times. So we just, we don't think about it. But if you think closely about it, good deeds and teshuvah are two separate and perhaps contradictory directions. Good deeds is good. Teshuvah is fixing bad, which is good, but it's more about sins, right? Meaning he says here in the note, good deeds is like it's great, and there's no baggage. Teshuvah is dealing with the past that was messed up, right? It's like, yeah, they're all positive things, but why do they didn't say every positive, didn't say like Torah study. I guess it sounds it, whatever. So he says, because this denotes what it means is that the good deeds in 1 hour of good deeds in this world is better than all the whole world to come. It gives you understanding of what the purpose, what type of good deeds, or what aspect of good deeds that make them better than the whole world to come. You know why they're better than the whole world to come? Because they are teshuvah themselves. The good deeds are returning the divine soul, which is a part of God, back to its divine source and root of all the worlds. You understand? This is where Chassidus is so powerful, because you say things in Talmud and Mishnah that are very pleasant things, but not necessarily with a full understanding of the mechanics. Here in a few couple lines, he explains the mechanics. You know why are mitzvahs better than the whole world to come? You know why? Because mitzvahs, at the time of doing the mitzvah, bring the soul back to the source of God, which is higher than the world to come. Understand? Mm-hmm. So, just to summarize, if we had to say what we're giving the Beinoni, so now we kind of understand the hard prescription of looking at the animal soul in a lowly way, and that's both just even the permissible hedonism of the animal soul, or the sinfulness at times of the soul of the animal soul body, the body. You look at the body as something that is not so sparkly clean and smug and feeling so good about your body and your animal soul. But that could be depressing. So he clarifies in chapter 31 that should not be depressing, because it's only putting in place the part of you called the animal soul / body. But then, and this is important, the follow-up is really what it's about. The follow-up is saying, but you have a part of you that's a part of God. And that's the part of you that you should really be concerned with and appreciate. And when you appreciate it, you have compassion of the dynamics of the way God made the world, made life. That the divine soul is in captivity, is submerged through it's like a princess. I think there's a parable of a princess, who's used to fine clothes, wearing like a sack. You know what I'm saying? Like a sack, not even like literally just wearing a potato sack. It's like it's so non-expressive of the finesse of the princess. She's forced to go through this interface of a potato sack. So you feel bad that the princess or the godly spark is submerged, and then you say, okay, so now that I know the score, I know what part of me is which parts are what. I'm going to spend my life out of compassion. Right now, out of compassion, we're going to get more cosmic and how important this mission is. But right now, we're talking. It's actually it's fascinating. You learn Tanya like a bunch of times, and with classes, you realize the structure. Right now, we're not getting to the important mission of the animal soul. We'll get to that, chapter 35. But we're saying just to understand the parts of you, that the best part of you is the godly soul. That's the eternal part. That's the God part. That's everything. But it doesn't come easy. It's not like comes to the fore easy. You have to work to constantly find ways of mitzvah life to express that despite the handicap of the potato sack on top of it, called the body.